And it's another Space Coast Real Estate Show. I am Jesse with eXp Realty. Thank you so much for joining us. In the studio as well, we have the wonderful, the gracious, not you, John, Michelle Carpenter. How are you, Michelle?
I'm doing great. Thanks, Jesse.
Michelle, once again, with Inspiring Homes, Staging and Redesign. Also, the lovely, the talented John Michelli.
Why, thank you.
You like that, right?
I do.
With Movement Mortgage.
Movement Mortgage Loan, approved.com. And for all you heroes out there, military, police, medical, and teachers, heroes.loanapplyapprove.com.
Easy to find us all. Thanks so much again for joining us. Again, this is the Space Coast Real Estate Show, and we come to you once a week, as often as we can. sometimes we're not so consistent, but listen, today's show we have it's Elsa. I can't believe we're already on E.
I know, Elsa.
And so Elsa is now been labeled as a tropical storm, so it's less threatening, but it did give South Florida a little bit of a little taste of hurricane season as it got pretty near, kind of went through like the Florida Straits between the Keys and Cuba, and now it's kind of doing this whole like big loop, kind of like a big J, like a J shape or something.
They're saying the eye is staying off the coast, so it might get a little bit more strengthening. But
we figured, it's timely because we are in
kind
hurricane
of the
season. Yeah, I mean we're just getting the taste of it. Again, we're only in E, and we figured, you know what, we discuss these kind of things.
Yes.
Only like when things are about to get bad.
Yep, they're coming.
Before we have actually like a Cat 1, 2, 3 or greater, we might as well at least get this show out of the way so that we could use it in reference, and you guys could always have it. You could bookmark it. You could of course download it if you're listening to the audio on your favorite platform. We are everywhere, so just find us at the Space Coast Podcast Network, anywhere you listen to podcasts. With that being said, we have a lot to go through. Michelle had a great idea to start with the exterior. Now, there's a lot to do on the exterior. In fact, I like to call this the mitigate airborne projectile.
Yes. It's super important.
Yes, because at the end of the day, your house will be fine until it's somehow breached. But if you have hurricane shutters and everything, so we're going to go through all that. But normally it's the insides are taken care of. It's the outsides that get damaged.
Yeah.
And it could be uprooted trees. It could be your
palm fronds,
your neighbor's pool, or screen enclosures are down.
Yeah.
So let's go
your
ahead.
Your neighbor's roof.
Yeah, no kidding. Like other people's property in your yard.
Yeah.
Because it always seems like it's not your own tree that lands on your house. It's your neighbor's tree.
That's right.
that gets blown. And so I have some recommendations, but I want to hear from Michelle. So Michelle, would you like to kick off some of the outside must-dos for when a hurricane's about to approach?
So sometimes it's just the simple things, the trash cans, the flags, the flag poles, the potted plants, bringing some of those kind of things. Anything that's you think might blow over, bring it in. Even if you think it won't blow over, bring it in, because you never know. A
potted plant will smash the crap out of something.
Well, right, and you just don't understand, and always, especially if you're new to Florida and new to the hurricane season. I was talking before the show, I grew up in Oklahoma, Missouri, so tornadoes spawn off of these. The strength, you just don't understand the strength, and if there are straight line winds or funneling clouds, that wind can just really build up. So anything that, even if you don't think it's that big or that's necessary, bring it in.
And not for
patio
nothing,
furniture.
Not for nothing, and we'll get to the pool first. I think we should. I want to focus on landscaping because that is really the easiest thing to do, and you have all the time in the world to do that. So I'm going to start with get a hold of a tree trimming company.
Right.
Get all that, anything that's dead, like it could be the palm fronds or anything else. It could be a weak limb or a dried out limb that's not growing anymore. Those are like the first as well. And not for nothing, but if it's a tall tree, and we know this from a broker open.
I wasn't going to mention it. I wasn't going to mention it.
I parked my car. And here's the lesson.
It wasn't even windy.
Look above and make sure you're not parking under a dead or dying or questionable limb.
What's over your house?
And but the whole thing is, it wasn't even that big of a branch, but it was 30 feet in the air, so it had velocity. So by the time it hit my hood, it put a big old, so but it's like those small things.
A small piece of branch can be pretty heavy, though.
Right.
Exactly. And if you can get a tree trimming service over, they can help identify what needs to go and tighten things up, because sometimes you don't have to chop limbs down. You just have to get the dead off there, and also lessen the amount of
the volume.
The volume, right? Because that's a wind resistance.
Yeah,
the wind will. I mean, we have old pines. We have old palm trees here.
Yeah,
very
old.
So they're known for shedding when things get tough. I mean, obviously they've been around for a few hurricane seasons, so we know that trees will last. But how to best secure your home, especially if it's surrounded by a lot of shade trees and a canopy. If it's a 40-foot tree and it's 10 feet near your house, guess what? There's a chance that it's going to hit your property the way it goes down, right? So that's one important thing to me. Get that tree service now while they're not busy, because guess what? After a hurricane, all you're going to hear is chainsaws for the next 4 weeks.
That's right.
It's miserable.
Right.
And anyway, and it's going to be too late then.
Yeah. Our landscape company did something. We've got 2 large oaks, one in the backyard, one in the front, and they did what they called like a hurricane kind of thinning.
I like that.
Where they went up into the canopy of the tree and kind of thinned it out, where air can circulate through as it comes, from down below, and it just kind of opens up so that it helps to prevent it from being uprooted or pulled up. So we had that done recently.
The air can get through there better.
Can circulate through it and get better. Yeah.
Yeah, because not only
helps with the dead branches too.
I mean, hopefully, trees will break off where the resistance is greater at the small little branches, and it won't take the whole trunk with it. But I've seen oaks. During Andrew,
or they get hit by lightning.
More oaks were uprooted, and I'm talking root systems. Yeah, when you stood but like alongside of it, 30 feet tall, because of this huge, rich canopy. That thing just went over like a sail,
heavy,
and the whole median. I mean, this is a beautiful shaded lane down in Hollywood, Florida. And I remember the whole lane, which was once a shady drive. Now every single oak. And I swear the root system was as tall as a tree. Yeah. It just went like that. So,
that's crazy.
I mean, these were very old trees, too. I mean, they had time to mature. Yeah. So, trees. Right. That's my message. How about you guys?
I agree completely. Trees and, like you said, just all the other little stuff that's around here. Garbage cans. Imagine a garbage can going 80 miles an hour at your house.
Why don't you cover patios? Who has a pool here?
I do.
So what do you do for a pool?
Well, so we have a pool and then an outside patio. So we have patio furniture on the inside and the outside with umbrellas. And so all that stuff has to go inside or in the shed or in the garage.
Did you dunk it in the pool?
There's some stuff I did, like those old white chairs.
Well, the PVC is easy.
PVC, we throw those in, but I never threw the other stuff
metal,
in there.
Yeah, aluminum stuff.
I don't usually throw that stuff in the pool. Those go in the shed.
Yeah.
Because even like the hose for
water
a pool.
Hose,
I mean, I've seen those whip around, and I mean, anything could be very, very destructive. So if it's loose, just bring it inside. I mean,
barbecue grills.
Oh yeah, barbecue grills.
Yeah.
I really
propane tanks.
I don't have any place to put those, but so I ratchet strap them.
Ratchet strap them, of course, but propane I would bring into a, I mean, fit it under your bed or in your closet. Just don't leave them outside because that's a projectile that
explosion
has even more incendiary, effect. Yeah.
Yeah.
What else for a pool? How do you secure a cage?
So I don't really know even.
Do you ratchet that down?
I never ratchet that down. It has the metal, the
stays.
The stays.
Right.
So, I mean,
and they're rated up to a certain,
As far as pool cages go, I mean, that's just usually the cage doesn't go. The screens get ripped out.
Right. Yeah. Anything with resistance is going to be pulled and shredded. I mean, that's just a fact.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what about gardening, landscaping, other things? Children's toys,
all the potted,
the swing set,
bicycles. Yeah,
we don't have a swing set now, but when I did have a swing set, I didn't take down the frame or anything. I would just take the swings off and the chains, and and then just leave the frame out there. Yeah, and that usually because the legs were cemented in, so
yeah, the thing's not going.
Yeah, it wasn't going to go.
Again, if it has less resistance, just look at the palm tree. Palm trees are tall, skinny, with a very small Q-tip top. I mean, as long as you maintain them. and they'll grow and they'll adapt. I mean, if they lean over, they'll just straighten right back up. And you know, I mean, palm trees are very resistant, and that's why we see so many here in this tropical climate.
I love me a curved palm tree.
I was gonna say if they don't, they'll just kind of grow unique and gives it character.
Especially like the ones at the beach, they always get like that. The real tall ones at the coconuts at the beach, they always get that bend in them. After
I'm glad you brought up coconuts. If you have a coconut palm, those things you'd be like, oh, but they're not ripe. Even with unripe mangoes, avocados, citrus trees, those things become projectiles. So
they may not be ripe, but they'll be blown away,
and they will hurt.
And if they're not ripe, they're hard.
And they're, I mean, an orange, an avocado, any of those will damage your screen. I mean, and not for nothing, you know, if you don't have a protected window, it'll go there. So let's get to more exterior. What about hurricane shutters? There's 3 different kinds. If you can get some installed before a major storm, because there's several different kinds. Yeah. The 3 that are most popular are the static ones, where you have to like bolt them down, and most builders will supply those. Yeah. And if you don't have hurricane shutters, do the favor, because it's going to reduce your insurance cost as well. Yeah. The other ones are the accordion. These are the ones that fold back, and you just simply cinch them, lock them, and you're protected.
Easy peasy,
those are attached permanently to the side of the home.
Exactly. The other ones, which are the more expensive, but they are so ideal, are the Rolodex. Now, the Rolodex just fold down. I mean, it's the easiest
hit a button
thing.
And the whole house is...
Some are automated, and then some are manual. Right. They have the crank.
And those are common in the condos and high-rise buildings.
So use those, especially if you plan on evacuating. I see...
There are some other ones, though, too, like the clamshells and the... You know, the bifolds.
Right. So
plantation kind of
So we're talking about plantation shutters and, you know, the clamshells as well. Yeah, they fold down. Those were really popular like in the 80s, 70s, a lot of construction, and I dig that style, but the plantation shutters are really, you know, and you see them all around the Caribbean. Yeah. You fold it down and it just protects it. So
I've seen them now recently around here a little bit more.
They're becoming.
Because they're stylish.
Yeah, they are stylish.
And they are hurricane rated. I think at one time they were not. But since Brevard County has adopted the Miami-Dade, they've improved those. Yeah.
So of course, you know, shop around. Don't be overpaid because of the panic of, you know, the hurricane. Because, you know, people buy on emotion, and then when you have to have it, you're not asking, you're not negotiating, you're not, you know, shopping around. So do it now before all of your neighbors are doing this. Yeah. And then of course, the really big, I think it's been misconstrued, is the rated what they call Florida impact or impact resistant windows. Listen, a rock, a brick, a 2x4 is going to go through your designer window. Yeah, still protect it, okay? And I know it's tough because there's you know, several stories. You know, if you have like a double story or even triple story home, I know it's tough to climb that ladder, hire somebody, but do it now, not 4 days before. You know, we identify a very threatening hurricane. Yeah, because all those contractors. Trust me. I mean, I made some good money climbing on ladders, putting up people's shutters on the second story because nobody else was around. Yeah. And I did that for my clients. But call me now, not 3 weeks before, or I'm sorry, 3 days before. Yeah. Call me ahead of time, and we could get you prepared. But yeah, so a lot of people want the last minute, but you're not going to find anybody climbing a ladder 3 days before. Everybody by then is in panic mode. They're you know, deciding if they're staying or going.
They're buttoning up their own stuff now too, and then shopping.
So don't be that guy. There's a Cat 4 on the way. You know, it's 72 hours out, and you want help with your shutters. Yeah, don't be that guy. Yeah. But let's segue back into stay or go. Yeah.
Right.
What do you guys feel like?
I'm a category 3 or below stayer.
Okay.
I like to ride it out.
And you're on the Barrier Island.
I am.
Sometimes they close the Barrier Island to emergency traffic. Yeah. So you kind of take a risk there.
Yeah. I stayed for Irma, and
me too.
And there was an actual tornado that went right down our backyard, ripped up our sheds and fences. We could hear it. It does really sound like a train. Yeah. And the pressure dropped so much our ears popped. Yep. Yeah. It was just like all at once. And
tornadoes are scary.
Like, what was that?
Yeah.
Yeah. You can definitely tell when they're coming by. Yeah.
What about you? Stay or go?
I'm a goer.
I mean, at a tropical storm? Are you leaving for Elsa?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, I mean, usually like a 2. And it depends.
See, everybody has a baseline.
I guess it kind of depends, too, on, like, where it's coming in landfall, and what side of the storm are we on, and there's some factors.
So you're a conditional.
Yes.
Fleer.
But usually, like I said, I grew up in Oklahoma with all those tornadoes. Yeah, and we have an older home that doesn't have hurricane shutters.
Oh.
Or hurricane rated windows.
Oh.
So we're really volatile.
Yeah.
When I worked for Harris Corporation, I went to Mississippi after Katrina, and we were setting up satellite links for FEMA and some of the other emergency management organizations in those areas. And
because people don't realize you lose infrastructure.
I mean, I seen buildings that were like cracked in half like an egg. I seen a boat in a tree. The cars were in the drink. I seen a Corvette that was wrapped around a tree like a donut. The back, the bumpers were touching around the tree.
Well, and that's the thing is because, I lived in Southwest Louisiana too, and Katrina, we had what we call the ugly the ugly stepsister, Rita, 30 days later.
Yeah, that's right.
That, and that's the thing is I like to prepare in advance just to bug out because she turned in the middle of the night. We were not really, and that's what you have to really keep your eye on on it, because it was going to be heading more south into Texas, and it turned in the middle of the night, and we really had to bug out
predict
fast.
It, and
no, they
there's
can't.
no idea where it's going.
They can really.
I believe it was Michael in 17 or 18. And everybody, I had family crying. Like I had classmates come down to South Florida, come back down to South Florida. I had, my family on the Southwest coast, come to Fort Myers. I'm like, guys, it's like 6 days, but you're in the cone. It's coming right for you. I'm like, but we're 6 days away.
Yeah.
Sure enough, guess where it came from? It went right around and then hit the places that they wanted me to come to, and I was I was up here and safe, because you can't. There's such a thing as overreacting, and when that happens. Guess what else? Now you're with everybody else who's overreacting, and you're all stuck on 95.
Right.
And if that thing did make a beeline and turn up some speed, there's nowhere to go.
I'd rather be in my house than my car.
Yeah, and
I don't care.
And I remember there was, and of course, when traveling, there's predatory rates out there. They jack up the hotel rates.
Price
gases.
Exactly.
Prices,
and so get prepared now, or you're one of the reactionary types who are then like in panic mode. I have no water, I have no candles, I have no batteries, I have all those kind of things. And if you're looking for a checklist, there's so many outlets out there. I would say we could spend this whole episode thinking of all these cool things, and we have some tips and tricks. But honestly, for your hurricane safety kit, it's really easy. But it's easier now when everything's in stock, and not when you go there and go
5 minutes before.
Yeah, there's no water left, because they just declared a Cat 4 in 3 days. It's like, so do all that easy stuff now, because it's so easy, because candles and batteries and all that stuff is
gonna last.
Abundant right now.
Right, and it's gonna last too.
Right.
It doesn't mean you have to.
It doesn't expire.
Yeah, just clear out a little shelf space somewhere in one of your closets or your pantry or something, and just designate that as the hurricane zone.
And even though we evacuate, we know that sometimes when we plan ahead and evacuate in plenty of time, but we know that sometimes we may have to come back before electricity has come back on. So we still prepare in bringing in food and water and some of those kind of things into the home, so that if we do have to come back before the utilities are up, we have food. So all your dry goods, your canned goods, rice, dried beans and peas, those kind of things are good to have in stock, as well as far as food.
The only thing you're going to have if the power continues to be out when you return home is hopefully your gas propane or charcoal. So get things that grill well.
Yes.
Tortillas with some beans and some cheese. These are all things that you can find in a can.
Cast iron skillets work on the grill.
Exactly. So you could do, but again, get those veggies that don't need refrigeration.
Right.
Get the canned goods and stuff like tortillas. You find them on a shelf. They have a really long shelf life. There's no problem with making the quesadillas and tacos for a few days.
Yeah, the kids love them too, and
and all the ingredients are pretty much in a can.
Right.
A little Rotel, little
all your vegetables,
little beans, a little cheese, and so plan on grilling, and if it doesn't come near you, then you're still grilling.
And
there's such a thing as a hurricane party. If you're new to Florida, ask a neighbor.
You'll know what it is. You'll find out for yourself.
Yeah.
Here's another thing that people don't think of, though. Right. Like a lot of times you have meat and then it's in your freezer. Then now you got to put it in a cooler, and then it gets with your other food, and you can get contamination.
Right.
And you can get sick from that stuff.
So let's talk about some freezer and some fridge hacks.
Yeah.
I know we're going through a few of them. For me, it's all about making as much ice as possible.
Yep.
How do you do this? Water in a Ziploc. For me, and I fill a Yeti filled with this, and I put some more grab-and-go type stuff. The bigger stuff, any kind of like large pieces of meat where I know it's going to take hours to thaw, I just keep in the freezer. Michelle mentioned at the bottom where probably it's going to be much cooler, even though I think the fan, the cooler is at the top and it kind of goes down. But we all know hot air rises, so when you do lose electricity, God forbid, and you don't have that fan blowing down, then what's going to happen is it's going to get really warm up top.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And keeping some of those Ziploc bags full of ice, or however you want to contain that ice, it's very smart to keep a couple of those in the freezer. So, because your freezer is probably the best insulated cooler you have available, unless you have like some good like Arctics or Yetis or something of a comparable value. So that's my plan. But tell us about the quarter trick.
So the quarter trick, probably different people on Facebook have seen it, but you put a glass, usually a plastic glass, fill it with water, freeze it, and then before you leave, if you evacuate, or even if you don't evacuate, but you put the quarter on top of it, the frozen glass,
right.
And then if you're away and you don't know how long, or if you've been without power, as the water or the ice thaws, the quarter's going to sink. So that's kind of a good indicator of whether you've been without power or not. That quarter's on the bottom.
Yeah, you better get rid of that stuff in there.
If it's a stinker,
could be rotten.
Because here's the thing, you may come home without that quarter on top, and you'd be like,
power's on.
Yeah, and it's like, I still have a cup of ice.
Ice, right.
Not knowing that it was ice, melted, then water, and then ice again. So that quarter will indicate whether it was water at one time.
Right.
Because that means that meat was, who knows.
Right.
How long
and how long
it got hot.
Right.
Exactly.
And in your freezer, you're talking about contaminations and stuff. That's one reason I like to mill it. And even just in daily use, I put my meat at the bottom and then my vegetables and some of those kind of things. So keeping separated in your freezer, in your refrigerator.
Yeah, that's
keeping
smart
your fruits
too.
and vegetables, or your meats from your frozen vegetables, if you have those kind of things. But in your ice chest.
I never thought of that. I'm gonna have to reorganize my freezer now.
Oh yeah.
That's very smart.
My meat and then my vegetables and then
veggies at the top, meat at the bottom.
Yeah,
makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, because also if you have any other things at the bottom that aren't meat, all that meat's going to be dripping down, contaminating everything below it. So always, but that
and fish at the very bottom.
Save the fish. Oh, and the crawfish and the shrimp.
So if you do decide to leave, hopefully you have it barricaded. Hopefully you've told some neighbors, because not everybody leaves. Some people just can't leave because they're caretaking a sick person, and of course if you do have if you're a caretaker and you do have someone elderly or that needs a machine like a ventilation, dialysis, anything like home like that. I'm sure you've already heard this abundantly, but there's still some people who are new to this area and Florida in general, and so make sure you have accommodations for them, whether it's a depending on how bad it is, you may need to be in the care of a hospital or at least some kind of shelter that can support you, maybe a nursing home or something equivalent. Look around. I know they make some makeshift shelters out of like gymnasiums and stuff at your local high school, where they have nurses, standing by and on premise to help. So those are all big things. Certainly. Yep. If you do leave, just bring your valuables or secure your valuables. Right. Don't leave things home, because if the roads are filled with debris and it's going to take a couple of days for some crews to make it accessible again, there are looters. There's opportunists who will make way with all those valuables. So do your best to
record.
And record.
Like on your cell phone, recording of your home, maybe the serial numbers of your electronics, your TVs, anything like that. And I always put my photos in a watertight, like tote and duct tape it real good, and I'll put it up on the kitchen counter, kind of underneath the cabinets, on the countertop and underneath to kind of help protect them a little bit if I can't take them with me.
Right.
If I've got too many.
That makes sense. And when you're traveling with all your valuables, don't leave them in your car.
No.
A friend of mine, here, bad story, firearms, cash, jewelry.
That's a nightmare.
And him and probably about 20 other people in this Orlando hotel were all victims of these. I mean, it was a smash and grabs, and they went all the way through. I mean, lost tons. Like, so if you are traveling with those valuables, I don't care if it's at a rest stop or overnight or something, secure them either in some kind of safe or something else. Be smart.
Bring them into the hotel with you,
because there are people who this is their opportunity,
especially firearms. Because just imagine if somebody got killed with your gun and
registered to your name.
So these are all precautions. So traveling, again, it's a lot to consider because you are abandoning your home. And you don't know the condition of what it's going to look like. You don't know how soon you're going to be able to get back. You don't know if the power is going to be on or when your local law enforcement declares that it's safe for you to return, because you're talking about down power lines, trees. You're talking about sometimes even flooding. I mean, we saw some flooding, I think with Matthew, and it was like it came up a little bit. It was kind of scary. It was like, oh my goodness. Yeah. Because not everything just comes down. Sometimes from the storm surge and all the runoff from the river. And you're on a barrier island, it's coming from both ends, and it rises. I mean, for instance, they turned off the pumps, or the pumps lost power to get the sewer, so sewer got backed up. So the manholes were popping, and I mean,
when I lived down in Palm Bay, I lived in the house in northeast area, and behind my house was a little like drainage creek. There was never more than like 2 inches of water in there, and for the 2004 hurricanes, there's just so much rain from all those storms. It was filled all the way to the top, and I went in my backyard one day and a manatee went swimming by on the old creek that's just like a drainage creek, and eventually the water went down, and they had to go and get them and pull them out and get them back to the river.
We've seen fish on my street. I've had friends take, just like you said, like we have these little relief canals. I mean, we're talking sharks, because the water came so high that the docks, you couldn't see the docks, and there was like sharks and other like fish like left on the docks when the water receded. So I mean, crazy stuff will happen. I mean,
stuff.
And it's likely, I mean, if it comes up that much and you're in a low-lying section, sharks and pools, alligators. I mean, everything's seeking, refuge. They're all looking for a highland. So always inventory, what's going on when
Keep your eyes
when
open.
you come back home, and make sure there's no like
look up and
critters.
down and all around.
Exactly.
So you mentioned the water in your freezer and Ziploc bags. Those can be used for drinking water, of course,
so
because you filter it.
If you put the drinking water in those bags, then as they defrost, they just become more water. That's not to be confused with, and that's potable water. The other kind of water is just your regular faucet. A hack that I learned a long time ago: fill up your bath water.
Fill up your tub.
Well, why would you fill up your bathtub? Well, because if there's no, if there's like plumbing down or anything else, you're not going to be able to flush a toilet unless you put water into the reserve and then be able to flush it. So that's a thing. So depending on
if you don't have a pool, especially
exactly,
because you could use
you
pool water.
could always use pool water. Absolutely. But again, what are you gonna do? Maybe just bathe. You're not gonna want to brush your teeth with that. But you certainly just hop in and clean yourself off and stuff like that, and be prepared for some very hot and sweaty nights. If you can find either a couple things you could do: an external generator, gas powered generator.
Those are handy,
but it's not going to be more than just maybe a lamp to charge your peripherals.
You could probably run a refrigerator off of most of them.
The better size. You got to make sure it's rated for that.
Like a 6500s, you can run a refrigerator, but you're not going to be running your central air off of it. That's for sure.
I see a fan.
So I mean, really a fan, a lamp, and
your phone chargers.
But all those high draws, the microwaves, refrigerators, all those high draw amp. Because I don't think it's rated for more than 20 amps. So you just got to make sure that you're looking at the
through, kind of turn the fan off and maybe run the microwave.
Right, and of course have plenty of fresh gas.
Yes.
So if you have questionable, gas containers from like 2 seasons ago, you're probably going to want to dispose of that properly.
Pour it in your fire pit and throw a match in there.
Yeah, let's not do that.
That's bad advice.
No, that's horrible.
I was just
Have
kidding.
you done that, John?
What not to do with John Michelli?
New show.
I've never done
that. That's an episode for another day. But yeah, certainly if you can do that. Otherwise, what's really helpful is just an inverter, something that you can attach to like a car battery, and again, you're not pulling a whole lot of volts off of it, but it's enough for a lamp and a fan. So when you're in that balmy,
or a radio or something,
so an inverter also helps. And but again, keep an eye on that that draw from the battery. Restart that car, get the alternator going, recharge it often. Those kind of things really help. So there are a couple of different alternatives to get power after the fact.
Generator always goes outside, never in your garage.
Yes, repeat that.
Generator outside, never in your garage.
Because
carbon dioxide.
The worst thing is the post unnecessary deaths. That have nothing to do with the storm. It's all just, they weren't educated.
They didn't know.
They didn't want it stolen. There's a lot of things, that people will say, but, if
at
anything,
least under the porch, the back lanai.
If anything, get a carbon monoxide alarm as well, so that because
and just remember those things need to be well ventilated,
very well ventilated, ideally outside.
Right.
And again, if you can't secure it, I'm not sure what to say. Just do your
chain
best.
And a lock.
Yeah, chain lock it to a fence post or something. Whatever, something that doesn't move.
Yeah.
And hopefully that'll discourage anybody who's feeling a little frisky and looking for trouble. Okay, so after you come home, you're going to want to also maybe check on those neighbors who did stay. Make sure that if you have like all this thawing meat, invite some neighbors over to eat, because everybody shares. We've had full on like community, like neighbors, neighbors.
Barbecue,
and it's like, someone's got like, it could be a roast, it could be, anything else, chicken wings, hot dogs. So it's best to get together, help each other remove debris, because there's always going to be somebody probably who didn't make it out as best as you can, and vice versa. If you had it real bad, reach out to your neighbors. They want to help. There's always somebody with a couple power tools, like some chainsaws and stuff like that.
I love getting out there and helping folks.
So you don't have to wait for the city or whatever municipality you're in to come and offer help. You get to clear roads yourself. Just be careful of down power lines. And of course, anything that's questionable, because again, there's going to be maybe some loose animals and stuff like that. So when you do move a tree, just be cautious that there's not like a bobcat or something hiding in there.
Wear some good shoes. Don't be
long
out there with
pants.
flip flops and and when you're using power tools and chainsaws and machetes and saws, be careful. Wear gloves.
Yeah, and if there is standing water, make sure to just be cautious, to make sure there's no power lines or anything else in there. Because again, the electrocution happens more often when people, again, they try to run home. They want to be the first one there on the block. They want to secure their property, and we get it. But pay attention to local law enforcement. If they haven't opened up your street, just wait for somebody to actually go in there, an FPL truck or somebody, to say, okay, this area is clear. And when it is standing water, again, there could be wildlife in that water. So just be doubly extra care to not just start lifting things up and not know what's underneath the water. If it's murky, I would definitely avoid it. I would also avoid even riding your vehicle in tall standing water, because you don't know if there's a pothole or some other
tree limb
flooded out.
Exactly. So now you have no vehicle, and your house is still hard to get to. So now you're.
The other thing too with the bridges, they have to check those bridges to make sure they didn't crack or break or anything. So they have to have the engineers come in.
Yep, structural engineers will come out.
Bridges before they'll let you cross.
Yep.
Yeah. So if you're on any of the barrier islands, the mandate, once they say that it's going to reach sustained, is it 30 or 40 mile an hour, they're going to close the bridges, and you're kind of on your own. No emergency vehicles, and then they've got, like you said, they don't.
I mean, they say straight up, if we're in the middle of a hurricane, call the police department, call the fire department, but you're probably gonna have to wait.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, last year I think it was last year. There was a house in the Atlantic that burnt down from a candle. They couldn't get to it in time.
Yeah.
It was right in the middle of the storm, and I think no, that was for Irma in 17.
Yeah, there's always some bad stories.
Right.
Yeah.
So all we could do is kind of offer some of the, it's
the battery powered candles now. I mean,
you have your, iPhones. Like there's lights like
those
everywhere.
LED lights will last
LED
for a month.
lights, yeah.
So if you can burn, candles and those things, kind of, torches, even because everybody's now camping outside where it's cooler because it's so warm inside. Yeah. And so people will come outside where they get a little bit of a breeze, and
plus the shutters is dark in there.
Yeah. And of course there's standing water, so those citronella candles, or torches, are coming really handy when you're all barbecuing.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying.
Swarm of bugs.
So there's a lot of things to consider. I would just say.
Safety first. Your life is more important than your valuables. I mean,
you can replace stuff.
Yeah. It's only stuff at the end of the day.
Absolutely.
What else do we need to cover? I feel like we did inside a little bit. How about your favorite cocktail recipes during a hurricane?
Oh, hurricane party.
Hurricane party. I was wondering if we were going to get to that.
Yeah. Just I don't know. I'm a kind of like, all right, it's time to clean out the liquor cabinet.
What maybe had a day?
We could make some mixed drinks, drink all the wine.
So
drink all the
beer is only good ice cold, right?
Yeah.
So you got to drink your beer while that's cold.
Yeah.
It's the wine.
Yeah.
And liquor. You can sip on brandy for days and days and days, or your favorite rum, or fill in the blank. Red wine. It doesn't need to be chilled. So so work progressively from enjoy cold first and enjoy lukewarm room temperature. But yeah, is it cliche to have to say a hurricane is a great cocktail if you're stuck.
It's not cliche at all.
I know, right? That's what it's after.
Yep.
Especially a nice Cat 5, which has a lot more rum than just a Cat 1 or 2. Sandbar locally in Cocoa Beach, they make some good hurricanes. But yeah, so I would just say stock up on some of your favorites because it may be a little bit. And when you can't sleep because you're so hot and muggy and the clothes are sticking to you and you haven't taken a shower in a couple of days, sometimes a good liquid.
A little adult beverage will get you to sleep.
Yeah, the little nightcap will make you comfortable, at least for a couple hours, 5 or 6 hours. And then you're up because the generator's still going, and all the other noises, and you're hearing things you haven't heard before because all the windows are open, so you're hearing all the wildlife, it's the aftermath is probably the worst part. Leading up to it, because you could take your time, you could see it, you could, I remember in high school they had like trackers. Of course now we have the internet, so we don't need the paper trackers, but we would like listen to the radio intently, like what's the longitude, latitude, and we would track it, and it was like a thing, it's like we could see it coming. Yeah, you guys. I don't know about you, John, but with Michelle, you grew up, you said, in the Midwest with tornadoes.
Yeah.
What do you get? 20 minutes?
Maybe
20 minutes of notice.
We were talking about the sirens. You just hear sirens, and then the news comes on like warning, and everybody either goes in their basement or their shelter or
we used
in
to
a
have
closet.
to leave to go to the school.
Yeah.
So with hurricanes, we have time. So reach out to those neighbors that probably can't climb a ladder.
Right.
Take care of yourself first, like they say. Apply your mask first, and then. So take care of yourself, and then
use that time wisely.
Use that time wisely. Prepare.
Don't do last minute. Don't work in hurricanes.
Yeah, because here's the worst thing. You're probably gonna still try to go to work till the very last minute. You're gonna take care of yourself, and that poor elderly couple, they have nowhere to go.
Right.
They have a fixed income.
Yeah.
Somebody they're on a lot of meds. They don't want to leave their pets. They're dependent, and so there's some people who are just not going to leave. Yeah. And so take care of them, and then qualify. Maybe just go around your neighborhood and knock on doors and say, are you staying or going? Do you plan on staying or going? And and what's your threshold? I think we all declared a threshold, right? 4s, 2, and and if they're like, oh, we're going to stay till like a 4, like, well, I'm not. I'm leaving at a 3.
I'm leaving at a 3.
So what can I do to help prepare you, so you're safe and we don't return, we return to a safe couple.
But be careful there too, because sometimes a 3 can come a 5 real quick.
Right.
Yeah.
That's why I usually go ahead.
But the great thing is, they only travel like 10, 11 miles an hour. You could outwalk a hurricane if you had to. You know what I'm saying? Like you could.
Right.
You could. Anyway,
except there's usually a lot of other traffic on the road too.
Yeah. Well, see, if you're walking, you walk right past all the
true.
traffic.
So speaking, you mentioned 2 things I wanted to touch on: pets.
Right.
So make sure if you are going to keep, your pet with you, if you stay, make sure you got plenty of food and water and for your pet. If you evacuate, of course, bring them with you.
And understand where you're going.
And where you're going, sure pet friendly. Exactly.
Yeah, not all shelters are pet friendly.
Right.
Yeah.
So when you evacuate, look at a roadmap, a paper roadmap, the old-fashioned kind, because when we evacuated one time, everybody was stuck on 95. Don't be afraid of those back roads. We evacuated, and we love the country roads, and we took those, and we were miles and hours ahead of people. So take an atlas, a current atlas, not an old one, but a current atlas that shows the country roads, because GPS sometimes on a little screen is hard to navigate and figure out where you can see the big picture.
Also, too, cell service was down for a bit after some of these
You're not going to be able to rely on your phone, guys.
No. I'm talking about like if you evacuate, and don't get stuck on the
certainly a paper map will
help you
leaps and bounds ahead.
Right. But some other things as far as inside your house, I'm kind of I'm sentimental. So, paper bags, those great big garbage bags around, anything that's heirloom type things, furniture, move it away from the windows and doors and kind of secure it and protect it.
Get it up off the ground.
Photos, things like that. Yeah, get it up off the ground if you can. So,
well, with that, I think that was a good time to go to break.
Yep.
Okay.
And we'll come back with our closing thoughts.
Okay. Sounds good.
All right.
Hi, my name is John Maselli with Movement Mortgage, Beachside, Indy Atlantic. Movement Mortgage is a faith-based organization, and our mission statement is as follows. We exist to love and value people by leading a movement of change in industries, corporate culture, and communities. To me, this mirrors my own business philosophy. My goal is to help people finance purchases or refinance current properties stress-free and at great terms. Help people, and everything else follows. By the way, if you have equity tied up in your house, the only way to get it out is to refinance. Pull that equity out and pay off high-interest debt or build a pool. My office is at 225 Fifth Ave, Suite 4, Indy Atlantic. Call me anytime at 321-248-6245 or visit my website, loanapply.approved.com, for more information or apply to qualify for a mortgage today.
Hi, Michelle Carpenter with Inspiring Home Staging and Redesign. We are Brevard County's premier home staging team, founded in 2013. You may ask, why stage your home or listing in a seller's market? Well, let me tell you, staged homes not only sell for 86% faster, but for 17% higher price. We have services for vacant, occupied, and luxury home staging. The definition of home staging is the professional service of preparing homes for sale in a way to appeal to potential buyers that generates a higher sale price. Our mission is faith, family, and community. Your home is your biggest investment, so stage yours today to get a higher price. Contact the team that inspires at 321-806-6543.
Are you in the market for a new home? Perhaps you need to sell your old home and downsize or relocate. Hey there, my name is Jesse Hall with eXp Realty, and I offer professional real estate services right here on the Space Coast. Give me a call, 321-877-8737 for all of your real estate needs. Again, 321-877-8737 for all of your real estate needs. Buy, sell, invest with the best. Find out more at 321-buysellinvest.com. And we're back. Thanks so much for sticking around.
We're back.
So, we're going to close this up, tighten it up, summarize it, and let you guys get on your way. Insurance companies, you may not have flood, you may not need flood.
Yeah.
But if you do need flood, you don't wait until it's a named storm, because insurance companies will not write policy once it becomes a named storm. So that's always a big thing, So do that now. Revisit your insurance professional and say, hey, have a look at my policy. Am I covered for rising water? Am I covered for water intrusion, wind intrusion? Those kind of things.
Yeah. Oh, and also too, like if you're in the middle of a real estate contract, you have the what's it called, force majeure.
Yes.
You have force majeure, and that means that if you're, if the house that you have under contract is damaged, then the buyer and the seller have certain obligations, and also maybe a way out of the contract if it's too much. So that's something to get information on. Could be important. Yeah, remember that insurance. If you don't have that bound by the time, a storm's coming in your middle of the purchase, it can mess the deal up.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Yeah. So again, force majeure is flooding. It's tornadoes.
Yeah, hurricanes.
Anything. God.
Yeah.
Natural. Natural caused.
Right.
So. Yeah, that clause is there for a reason.
Yeah,
because if you are under contract and something does happen, you're protected. Right. So find out from your real estate professional what that clause actually means. Right. If you are under contract.
Yeah, and flood insurance. Don't think that if your policy or your mortgage broker doesn't require it, or you're not in a flood zone, that you can't get it.
Right.
And that you don't need it.
Exactly.
That's the other thing with lenders too. If you have a pending storm, they'll halt all appraisals, and so remember that if it's coming and it's not closed, you're probably going to have some delays.
Right. Yeah. For sure.
So there's a lot of things, real estate wise, but again, we don't want to doom and gloom. Yeah. But we just want you to be practical, and we're giving you steps so that you can save time and money, and protect yourself, protect your loved ones, because I think that's. We all agree that that's what's most important.
Yes.
Also, some other closing items we were discussing.
Yeah. So, after the lights come back on and everybody's safe, you might want to, really give your house a real good inspection. Maybe even call in a professional inspector to come in and have a look at it, but make sure you don't have no leaks in your roof, around your, like a lot of times those lead pipes in the top of the roof will get loose and start getting some
all
leakage.
Kinds of things. There may even be some lift. You don't know, but maybe your roof did lift up for a period and then fell back
down.
And then you may have cracked beams or anything else. Roofs, especially like shingles and the barrel tiles, are notoriously known for getting cracks because of debris hitting them, getting ripped off because of the high winds.
Absolutely.
So absolutely, get on that roof, or if it's like a 2-story or something, call a roofing professional and get that inventory done, so you're okay, because guess what, that may not be the only storm of that season.
Right.
So if you neglect it, it's going to take whatever happened during the first one, the second one's not going to be so.
It's going to wiggle it even more loose.
Exactly. Right. So have a professional. And trust me, there's going to be adjusters. A lot of public adjusters coming. And they're going to be able to help you with your insurance claims. Maybe find one and put them in your Rolodex now while they're able to, so you have priority with them. That's a big one, because everybody's going to be looking for, there's going to be thousands of claims. Right. If it's like catastrophic, like a 3 or 4, or especially a 5, then, you may not have something to go home to. But those 3s and 4s, older homes, they're not going to fare so well. So there's going to be a lot of your neighbors that are going to be competing for those adjusters to come by and have a look, get on the roof, and then help you make that claim.
Oh my God, could you imagine what the Bahamas went through in that storm, where it just sat there for like 48 hours and Cat 5? Jeez.
They were saying it was like closer to a Cat 6.
Yeah.
Wow.
But water, the whole island was pretty much submerged. With the storm surge and everything else. Those poor people. They're still recovering to this day. So just remember, we saw in Andrew, we saw in Katrina, we saw in
Maria in Puerto Rico.
Yeah, right. We've seen the evidence of what a storm looks like and and how it can devastate. Puerto Rico, they didn't rebuild some of those mountain roads, those bridges where people were stranded. It was washed out, And the government's like, yeah, we don't have the money to rebuild those, so that village now doesn't exist. Like people have to evacuate permanently, and so some scary things can happen. But the more you're prepared, the more you understand what is at stake, then you could take those preparations and you can.
Knowledge is power.
Yes.
And just be patient with those renovations. My parents and family are in Lake Charles, Louisiana, and that was almost a year ago in September, and they're still dealing with, getting repairs and stuff done because of so much devastation. The materials are out of stock or out available.
The Gulf Coast got hit over and over and over and over.
It was
2
bad.
hurricanes back to back. Yeah.
It was so bad. Yeah, between Texas and the Mississippi, Louisiana border, it's like, all those areas were just getting devastated.
Right. Yeah. Private adjuster, you mentioned that. If anybody needs one, call us. We all three know somebody.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so, those are really great.
Yeah, because the person that your insurance company is not going to send, they're not going to have your best interest.
No.
So definitely try to find a. I called them public. You said private.
I think I've heard them referred to as private, but
is it private?
No, I think it's public.
Is it public? Okay.
Yeah.
So the public.
Yeah. So no, because I get those confused too.
But they
sometimes.
work privately for you.
No, I know that because I got one for my house.
I've got one too.
And it's so true. The insurance guy came out. He was in my house like 10 minutes and just wrote up a small number, and those guys came in and got really what
they thoroughly look through your home because they're there for you. They're working for you, not the insurance company.
Yeah, insurance company wants you to write the lowest check possible. Yeah. And if you let them, and you're not knowledgeable, then because they're gonna put a closing statement on there, and that means satisfaction or something. It's like a satisfactory clause, like you say that this is enough, and it's like a closure. At the end of the contract, like you promise not to try to solicit for more money, and they're trying to nail you to that cross. They're like, no, this is what you're getting, $2,500. But if you don't have a proper inspection, you don't know the extent of the damage. They're replacing drywall. It's enough for maybe some replaced shingles, but Florida law, if you lose a percentage of your shingles,
25%,
because they need to match like and kind, right? Same, it's like same or similar style. But if they can't, then they have to replace the whole roof.
Yeah.
If you let an adjuster from your insurance company, they're going to be like, oh, all you need is a couple of cases of shingles. Here, go have fun. And it's like, no, that's not how it works.
Yeah.
And not to badmouth insurance companies and their adjusters, but we've seen enough of this because there's also very big fraudulent claims too.
Yeah.
So they have to protect themselves and anyway. So there's it's on both sides. So let's not get it wrong. I mean, there's always a couple bad apples on each side of this.
I was listening to this. I was talking to one of my insurance agent friends who's down in Melbourne Beach, and he was saying, I was like, man, all these rates are going up tremendously, and all these insurance companies are leaving Florida. They won't write in Florida. And I started talking about hurricanes, and he's like, no, it's not the storms, it's the legal fees. So, file a claim, because a lot of people are just going right in with lawyers into their, so it's a big added expense to the insurance companies, because they have to also pay for those legal fees as part of the claim. So that's actually kind of messing up the prices. So make a claim.
And on a final note,
give them a shot.
On a final note, there are going to be some opportunist contractors who are not from this state, who may not be licensed.
So they just passed a law that went into effect July 1st. It's kind of quelling a little bit of that.
Yeah. So hopefully that works. But just be mindful. And these could be people who just want to remove debris from your yard. Yeah. But if they get hurt removing a thing, they could get a thorn, whatever it is.
And they're not insured.
And if they're not insured, they're going to come after your homeowner's insurance. So make sure you ask: are you insured in the state of Florida? And are you licensed? Because there's plenty of licensed workers who are going to come from out of state who are actually licensed and insured, but they're maybe from Georgia or otherwise. But we call them staying in a van and chucking a truck, and they will show up, and they have what they call a red light warranty. As soon as you see the brake lights leave, that's
the warranty's over.
So just be careful of who you accept, because everybody's going to be desperate. Everybody's and they're going to show up. They're going to have plywood like, hey, only $1,500 to replace your decking, sheet. and
that's how much they cost now, anyways. But.
Exactly, but they're opportunists, meaning they're just trying to get your money, they're all going to ask for the same thing, which a normal GC or subcontractor would not ask, and that's money up front.
Yeah, don't ever give money up front.
Most times they will work with your insurance companies. If they're not prepared to work with your insurance company, they're most likely not legit.
Yeah.
If they want cash up front, they'll go, oh, we're just going to go to a hardware store. You're never going to see them again.
Yeah.
And so just beware.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Good point.
And any other final thoughts?
Well, I mean, just be safe and be smart, and take care of yourself and take care of your neighbors and
take care of your family and your neighbors.
Yep.
People are more important than your stuff.
Be a good steward.
Exactly, and certainly there's always going to be people who are going to be in need. So if you do have any leftover canned goods, spare clothing, those kind of things, be prepared to give them back to like a Salvation Army, or maybe now is a good time to find that the charity that promises to take care of your stuff and get it to people who are in need.
Right.
Not resell it in a thrift store or
and
something
put it in
else.
their pocket.
Exactly. So just some little insider tips from people like myself. I'm native. I've lived in Florida all my life.
I'd like to say too, if this is your first hurricane season, you're new to this, don't panic.
Right.
Just think it out, plan your strategy, and
I would say turn off your TV and ask some seasoned neighbors who have been around a few seasons and know what to do, because the TV is going to get you very excited and sensationalize everything. I mean, I could show you evidence. It's pretty bad. They really make a, and maybe that's their job, but
you ever see those Facebook posts where that shows the chair knocked over?
Yeah.
The effects of hurricane.
Yeah. One tree limb, one palm frond.
The best is and this breaking news hurricane update is sponsored by Lowe's.
Absolutely.
They will scare you to buy everything in that hardware store.
Yep.
But
that
thanks
is
so
a good
much.
one-stop shop, though.
Exactly.
You got to say.
And Lowe's, if you're listening and you want some help, marketing, we're interested.
Yeah.
Or Home Depot. We're Ace Hardware. We're equal opportunity sponsorship solicitors.
Absolutely.
Okay. With that being said, thanks so much for tuning in. This has been another episode of the Space Coast Real Estate Show. Michelle, John, say goodbye.
Hey. Inspiring Home Staging and Redesign, 321-806-6543. Call us today.
This is John Maselli with Movement Mortgage, 321-266-0703, or go to my website, loanapplyapprove.com.
All right, thanks so much. Remember to click that subscribe and follow button, and we'll talk to you next time. Until then, take care, guys.
Take care.
Take care. Be safe.